Hello, this is Cuckoo. How are you today? I hope you're really good. Today, I want to show you something, and it's something I've been putting off for a long time, something I've been wanting to do ever since I got my hands on this device, my first time. This is the ZOIA. It's my favorite guitar pedal. It's not really just a guitar pedal. This is a modular synthesizer in a box. I've created a beginner's tutorial on this when it came out years ago, but it's still, years later, my favorite guitar pedal box. And it's because it's so open. You can create anything you like with this, and you can be really nerdy with it. And don't we like to be nerdy? Yes, we do, in case you were wondering what the answer would be. And so what I've been trying to accomplish this past week has been to create a formant synth. What is a formant synth? It's a synthesizer designed to emulate the human voice. And that's something that I've been wanting to nerd out with for a long time. Finally got around to do it. So a formant synth tries to kind of mimic your throat, vocal cord, and the hollowness of your internal hollowness in your mouth. After the vocal cord, there is a hollowness in your throat. The sound can resonate there. And then there is the tongue that kind of divides the upper part of your mouth into two chambers. And your voice can resonate in both of these chambers, creating three places where the voice can resonate. So the way to create a formant synth is to create first a sound source and then stack three bell filters right after each other, and try and find exactly those constellations where it sounds like vowels. Like, for instance, ah has one constellation, ooh has another, and then some people are working with overtones, trying to really find really peculiar ones, and I'm not going to do that. But let's go, and I'm going to show you what it sounds like first, and then I'm going to show you how I did it. I find it a lot of fun. Let's go. All right, so here we go. ZOIA in place. My ladies, gentlemen, and everyone else, gonna perform a little bit on my patch, VoiVoi. Okay, it sounds like this. Slower attack on the breath. Aftertouch vibrato or tremolo. Instant attack if you want to. Super long attack if you want to change it. If you want a reverb, you can add that by pressing this button there. Longer reverb. If you want to change the vowel, even if you're not striking a new beginning, because now it's continuous. You can do it by pressing the middle button. shorter reverb. And one last thing, I'm running the whole sound through an aliaser. Even more. And these are keyboard modules, so you can change them. I think it suits the whole kind of old school vibe to run it through an aliaser like that, because it sounds even like more crushed. Yeah, and furthermore, on the pitch bend, I'm doing this. Listen to this. Yeah, and on the Modwheel, I'm doing this. And then you can go really bonkers. Yeah, so let me show you how I created all of this. First, let's just browse through the different pages. So I'm going to page myself through this. First page is a control page where I can access, more like a macros page, where I can access stuff under the hood without going under the hood. Then I got a mixer page where all the sounds end up and then I send them out. I've got an oscillator page where the majority of the sounds come from. And then let's go to the vowels. That's where the whole filtering occurs. And then here we got the Vow Glide, which is a way to make the vowels glide between the settings. And here's a MIDI input settings and also a little randomizer here. And that's the reverb. And that's it. So let's go through. First of all, if you just want to use this patch and not do anything at all with it, just load it up and use the first page, the controls page. So we've got this one. I try to name them to make it easy for you to read. We've got breath start. So that's the attack of the breath. And it's just a value that's pointing to an envelope. And then the second row, the green one, is aliasing. Same thing there, just a value pointing to another page. And these elements here, they're actually keyboards. And what you can do is just press one of them, change the value. Then you have a new macro stored on that key, on that slot. It's pretty aggressive. And something that I usually do on the front control page is to hide elements that I don't want you to accidentally mess around with. So underneath here, there's actually a couple of more slots that are part of the keyboard module, but I've hidden them, and I've done it by placing a UI button there. If I move this, we can see that's actually the note out value is actually there, and I'm using that to sending it to another page. Let's move this UI button back. That's a trick I'm using on the first page a lot, just to make it neat and to hide unnecessary UI elements. Cool. The next one here is the reverb length, and in order to access the reverb, I need to turn on the reverb with this. Same thing there, you can dial in your 4 different presets. Shortest, medium, longer, very long. And this one here and this one there is 2 stomp boxes. I press it, see stomp reverb. It's corresponding to this, turning on and off reverb send. And this state is sent to the page where the reverb is. Same thing with this, it's a stomp box with the vowel, just letting the vowel step forward 1 step each time I press it. And the last one here in the corner is the master volume. Perhaps now, while we're kind of demoing this, I can turn the volume down. Alright, next one. Next page is called a mixer. This is where all the sounds end up. And let's see what we've got here. At the top, we've got a long mixer module. And it's getting stuff from the sound. And the second one, I was using it, I planned to use a consonant on this, but I ended up skipping out the consonant. So this is up for grabs. I'm using it sometimes, the second slot on the mixer, for testing purposes. So mixer, and the mixer values here, and the output. The output goes to VCA, and the VCA is a place where I fine-tune the volume of the whole mixer. I could have kind of optimized it, but I was thinking maybe at some point I want to control the output level, and that a good place to do it would be with a VCA. From the mixer, the sound goes into this green object here, which is the aliaser. And we can see the middle connector there. It's connected to this blue one there, and then the output comes here. Let's investigate the blue one. This is kind of like reverse engineering. So let's go to the blue one, follow the connections, and we can see that before something comes in to control the frequency of the aliaser, it goes through this. This is a CV filter, and the CV filter is interpolating CV signals, essentially making them smoother and slower, slowing down and not making CV changes so abrupt. I think of this as a kind of portmanteau of values. So if we go back here, I know that the CV is coming from this aliasing with that hidden slot that I was showing earlier, and then that's going into this. So when I perform a change here on the keyboard on the first page, it will essentially go through this. It will be slowed down a little bit to make it smoother, and then change the aliaser, like so. Yeah. And then, after the aliaser, it goes through this, and this is a master EQ. And without the EQ, I found the resulting audio to be a little bit flat and a little bit, it lacked a little bit. So I sent it through an EQ, boosted the bass a lot, and the mid gain 1 is a frequency, a low frequency, let's see, around 169 hertz, to boost the bass even more. There is also a high shelf, but I ended up not using the high shelf. So after the EQ, I'm sending the audio straight into the output of the module. And over here in the corner, I got the master gain. And if we take a look at that precise point, you can see that the volume output and this value is controlled by that little module over here on the first page. Yeah, cool. Okay, so we're kind of going a little bit in reverse here, taking a look at the master controls first, then going one little step further and checking out the mixer. But now we're going to go deeper, deeper, deeper and take a look at the meaty part, and it's the oscillator page and the vowels. So the oscillator page is fairly straightforward. Let's see what we got here. We've got a noise and we've got an oscillator. The oscillator is currently a sawtooth, and I was thinking, in order to create an oscillator that can sound like a voice, I was thinking maybe I should use one of the oscillators with the most harmonic frequencies in it. And a sawtooth has a lot of harmonics, so it's a good place to start. And if I want to change it, I could do that now. Okay, so how about changing the sawtooth to a sine wave? Or a square wave. A triangle. And back to a sawtooth. It's not that the sawtooth sounds more like a voice, it's just that it has a lot of harmonics in it. So that means we have much more to work with when we're resonating with our filters. The frequency of the oscillator is being controlled by the value coming from the keyboard. And also, I'm sending a little vibrato into it. It's so small, so we can't even see it on the screen, but you can see the connection there. So whenever I apply an aftertouch, I'm sending this value to the frequency and adding that in addition to the keyboard. We can see when I press the connection there that I'm only sending about 1% of its full value. And we can see the connection if we press this and head over to the MIDI section. That's in fact the aftertouch. Right, and furthermore, the keyboard is also on that MIDI page. You can see it there. And that MIDI keyboard frequency is being sent to the oscillator to represent the key that we're playing. So I was mentioning the vibrato, the tremolo coming in here. It's coming from an LFO. We can see the LFO speed here in hertz, milliseconds, or BPM. And we can see the value there. I think it's a sine wave. Let's check it. Yeah, there we go. It's currently a sine wave. We could change that if we want to. Triangle, ramp, sawtooth, random, square. No, sine wave. The big modules down here, there are ADSR envelopes, one for the noise and one for the main sound. And the main sound here has some clever connections. So if the value here on the first page is creating a long breath, that means we're delaying the main envelope, and also we're slowing down the attack. All right, so the noise goes into VCA over there. The sawtooth goes into a VCA over here. The VCA is determining how much of the volume is going to be sent into the filters, creating the vowels on the next page. And the level is being controlled by many things. And I collected all of those values here. So once the noise and together with the oscillator is being sent into the next page, which is called the Vowels page, this is where all the formatting is going on. So we've got filter 1, filter 2, and filter 3. They're connected in a series. So one first, then the other, and then the third. And what we have here is, let's go in and check out the filters. I'm using the multi-filter, and I'm using the one called Bell. And the bell filter is something where you can essentially create a resonance at a given frequency. And that's precisely what we need in order to control these 3 filters and create a formant. So now that I got the filters set up with 3 in a row, I just need a way to store kind of macros of 3 parameters going into the frequencies of the filters that correspond to the different vowels. And I solved that by creating a sequencer. Up here is a sequencer module. And the sequencer has got several tracks. See, track 1, track 2, and track 3. Yeah, I even have a track 4, just in case. Track 1, 2, and 3 have values in the sequencer corresponding to different vowels, and I send them into filter frequency 1, 2, and 3. So let's check out track 1 here. Track 1, step 1, step 2, step 3. We can see that there's a bunch of different values in the sequencer. These values are being sent to filter 1, and the values from track 2 are being sent to filter 2. The values of track 3 are being sent to filter 3. But if you've got a keen eye, you can see that, hey, there's actually no connection there now. So what's going on? Well, I'm sending them to the next page, because on the next page, I'm creating more of these CV filters that kind of slow down the change a bit to make it a little bit more floaty, so that it's not like super abrupt, but there's a short transition time there. That's kind of creating a little bit more movement in the voice. So it's going into the filter 1, 2, and 3, and it's got a time constant, essentially a sort of portamento of the CV value. You can see here, it takes a little while for the value to go from one value to the other. It's making it a little bit more human, if you wish. So, the way I advance is by each time I'm pressing the key, I'm sending the gate to the sequencer's gate in. But if you have a keen eye, again, let's check it out here. 1 step, 2 steps, 2 steps, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. Sometimes it jumps 2 steps, and I want to create some sort of irregularity and some randomness to which vowel comes next. So what I've done here is that I've created a little solution on the MIDI page here, so that the gate of the keyboard, MIDI input, is being delayed a little bit to create a secondary trig, and that secondary trig is only being triggered sometimes. So I'm creating a random trigger here, and if that random trigger is going through this CV steps, it's sometimes creating the value 1, sometimes the value 0, and when the value is 1, I'm passing through that second delayed trig into the sequencer gate. So essentially creating 2 trigs for the sequencer. Only a 50% chance of that happening. And that is making the vowels a little bit more irregular. Whereas this is always just advancing 1 step. Okay, so on the Vow Glide page, we got one more thing, and it's the Modwheel. You can see the Modwheel here. Actually, the Modwheel comes in on the MIDI page there. And then we go here to the glide page. We see it comes in there. And I'm sending that glide value to this extent to the filters, in addition to the already controlled filters from the keyboard. Basically offsetting the whole value a little bit. And it results in this sound. Basically making it more and more like a baby. Yeah. So next page, MIDI. We've been to this page numerous times. Basically, it's MIDI notes input. I'm listening to MIDI channel 1. The MIDI note value is converted to CV. And then we got the gate. And then we got velocity. Actually, I'm using the velocity to decide how much of the oscillator that goes into the filters. Let's check it out. So over here on this page, I'm sending the velocity here, which is then affecting the VCA. And then we've got the pitch bend here. And the pitch bend is being sent to, I think, 2 places. One is the same place as the Modwheel, but also to this place here, which is actually changing the pitch, adding a pitch change to the oscillator itself. So at the same time as we're changing the formant filter frequency, we're also changing the pitch, and it sounds very convincing. I'm really happy with how it turned out. And then the last one here on the MIDI page, yeah, channel pressure. And that is connected to the tremolo and deciding how much of the tremolo is going out. Cool. Last page, reverb, very straightforward. Remember that on the first page there, I had this. And this parameter, let's click it, is being sent to a VCA, taking the finished sound and sending that into a reverb. And we can see here that just by pressing this button now, we're changing the... Yeah, and the reverb module has a decay time parameter, and the decay time parameter is being controlled by this keyboard element here. So now that this is long, let's go to the reverb. We can see that in fact, yes, the decay time is very long. Going to the first page again, making a short reverb. Going to the reverb just to check. And we can see that the decay time is in fact very short. And then the reverb, there we go, being sent back to the mixer page, and it's going straight out to the master. Yeah, so that's my patch. I'm calling it VoiVoi. Don't ask me why. It seemed appropriate at the time. And if you want this patch for yourself, there's 2 ways that you can get it for yourself. It's one, you can go to my web store and purchase the pack over there. And 2, you can consider becoming my Patreon and support my work here on YouTube and elsewhere. And if you consider my work of great value to you, I'd be happy to have you as a patron. As a patron, you have access to my patches, and also you have access to our Discord, which is a nice place where we look out for each other, we chill out and listen to each other's both problems and also music and stuff. And I don't want it to be a super saturated place where we just shout. No, I want it to be a place where we look out for each other. And if there's something you have on your heart, share it with the others, and we're there for you. We're there for you. So, there you go. This is VoiVoi, my formant patch for the ZOIA. And if you like it, you can at the very least give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Peace out, everyone. See you soon.
Hey,